So when Kevin Costner took a major leap in his career by directing, starring in, and basically producing Dances with Wolves, there was a whole kind of buzz around the movie, not only because of Kevin Costner, but a certain Canadian actor who plays Costner's Indian best friend in the movie. Now, screenplay by Michael Blake, based on Dances with Wolves by Michael Blake, won a lot of Oscars at the 1990 Academy Awards. Now, Mary McDonnell, his co-star, the white woman who was kidnapping Indians, she becomes an Indian for a number of years, and he meets up with her. It was distributed by Orion. Now, an October release in 1990, it went wide in the United States on November 9th at 3 hours. It was probably the biggest epic movie of the early 90s. So I'm going to give you the plot of the movie and to hear my recollections of seeing Greene as Kicking Bird, because he was well known to us in Canada in various productions, and because the movie was filmed in Canada, it was quite a shock to see someone who was an up-and-coming Canadian Aboriginal actor to have such a major role, would led to a Best Supporting Actor nomination. Now, this one, in 1863, First Lieutenant John Dunbar, serving with the Union Army, is wounded in a stalemated battle at St. David's Field in Tennessee. The surgeon intends to amputate his leg. Choosing death in battle instead, he steals a horse and rides in front of Confederate lines unharmed, but miraculously survives a suicide attempt. Union troops take advantage of the distraction and mount a successful attack. Dunbar is given medical care that saves his leg and is awarded Cisco, the horse he rode during the suicide attempt, along with his choice of a posting. He requests a transfer to American frontier to see it before it disappears. Now, when he arrives at Fort Hays, where its commander, Major Famborough, assigns him to the furthest outpost under his jurisdiction, Fort Sedgwick. Famborough, who is mentally ill, kills himself after Dunbar departs. Dunbar travels with Timmins, a foul-mouthed mule wagon provisioneer, and finds the fort deserted. He decides to rebuild the fort, recording his observations in his diary. Timmins is killed by the band of Pawnee while returning to Fort Hays. The deaths of Timmins and Famborough leave the army unaware of Dunbar's assignment, so no other soldiers arrive to reinforce the post. Now, Dunbar encounters his Sioux neighbor when they attempt to steal his horse and intimidate him. Wanting to make peace, he seeks out the Sioux camp. En route, he comes across Stands with a Fist, a white ethnic Sioux woman who was adopted as a girl by the tribe's medicine man, Kicking Bird, played by Greene, after Pawnee killed her family. She was mutilating herself in mourning for her late Sioux husband. Dunbar brings her back to the Sioux to recover. Though the Sioux were initially hostile, Dunbar gradually establishes a rapport with them, notably Kicking Bird. The Sioux fighter winded his hair, and the youth smiles a lot. Stands with a Fist acts as an interpreter, speaking Lakota in English, and he is a very interesting scene where Costner kind of turns on Kicking Bird to coffee. Now, Dunbar comes to respect and appreciate the Sioux. He accepted into the group after he tells him of a migrating herd of buffalo and participates in a hunt. He also befriends a wolf he dubs Two Socks by his white forepaws. Observing Dunbar and Two Socks chasing each other, he is given a name that translates as Dances with Wolves. Dunbar learns the Lakota language, and he and Stands with a Fist grow close. He gives the Sioux firearms to help to defend against a Pawnee attack. He eventually earns Kicking Bird's approval to marry Stands with a Fist. Because of the threat of encroaching white settlers, Chief Ten Bears decides to move his group to the winter camp. Dunbar decides to accompany them, but first attempts to retrieve his diary from Fort Sedgwick, as it would help the U.S. Army locate the group as his new location. When he arrives, he finds the fort reoccupied by the Army. Because of his Sioux clothing, the soldiers open fire, killing Cisco and capture Dunbar. He cannot prove his story as one of the soldiers had stolen his diary, and of course, in a very interesting scene, the diary, a soldier is seen using it to wipe his arse. Refusing to help the army hunt down the Sioux, he is charged with desertion, and the soldiers begin to transfer him back east as a prisoner. Two Socks attempts to follow Dunbar, but is shot dead by the soldiers. Now, there was one comment by one of the, what they call the evil Union forces, "You turned Indian, didn't you?" Dunbar's Sioux friends track and attack the convoy, killing the soldiers and freeing Dunbar. They meet the others at the winter camp. Dunbar leaves with Stands with a Fist because his presence would endanger the group. As they leave, Dunbar and Kicking Bird exchange parting gifts. Smiles a lot returns what's left of the diary recovered during Dunbar's rescue, and winding his hair proclaims his everlasting friendship to Dunbar. U.S. troops searched the mountains by the Canada located Dunbar or the Sioux. The film's epilogue text states that the last of the free Sioux would surrender at Fort Robinson, Nebraska, 13 years later. Well, like I said, for its time, it had a lot of noble intentions and is an epic movie, but it was under the white savior trope. Now, because of the film's popularity and lasting impact on the image of Native Americans, members of the Lakota Sioux Nation eventually held a ceremony in Washington, D.C. to honor Costner, McDonnell, and Wilson on behalf of the Indian Lakota Nation. Explained Floyd Westerman, who played Chief Ten Bears in the movie. Albert Whitehat, the Lakota elder who served as a cultural advisor in the film, adopted Costner and his family, and 2 other families adopted McDonnell and Wilson. Westerman continued, it is so that we all become part of one family. At the 63rd Academy Awards ceremony in 1991, Dances with Wolves earned 12 Academy Award nominations and won 7, including writing, adapted screenplay, director, and picture. In 2007, the Library of Congress selected Dances with Wolves for preservation in the United States National Film Registry. Now, Michael Smith, a member of the Sioux Nation, the director of San Francisco's long-running annual American Indian Film Festival, said that despite criticisms, there's a lot of good feeling about the film in the Native community, especially among the tribes. I think it's going to be very hard to top this one. However, Blackfeet filmmaker George Boudreau countered, I want to say how nice, but no matter how sensitive and wonderful this movie is, you have to ask who's telling the story, and it's certainly not in Indian. Now, David Soroto said it best of Salon, referring to Dances Wolf as a white savior film, as Dunbar fully embeds himself in the Sioux tribe and quickly becomes his primary protector. He argued that his use of the noble savage character at type preemptively blood criticism of the underlying white savior story. Now, there was supposed to be a sequel called Holy Road in 2001. It picked up 11 years after the events of Dances with Wolves, and Dunbar is still married to Stands with a Fist. They have 3 children. In this one, Stands with a Fist and one of the children are kidnapped by a party of white rangers. Dances with Wolves must mount a rescue mission. Now, Costner poo-pooed it. He said he would never make a sequel, and the 3rd book in the saga, The Great Mystery, was planned, but Blake died in 2015. Now, Judith Bouter wrote, the hardest part with the movie was that the problem with Costner's approach, Dalalala Sioux are heroic, while the Pawnees are portrayed as stereotypical villains. Most accounts of Sioux-Pawnee relations see the Pawnees, numbering only 4,000 at the time, as victims of the more powerful Sioux. And it was a stretching of the truth as well. Now, ironically, a Christian missionary named John Dunbar worked among the Pawnee in the 30s and 40s and sided with the Native Americans in a dispute with government farmers and a local Indian agent. According to Blake, the film character's name was chosen at random from lists of Civil War veterans and was merely coincidence. Now, there is a extended version of the movie, 4 hours, which gives more of in the Indian camp. Now, from an aspect of accuracy, it's just a very good story. But I mean, when you make $424 million worldwide on an initial budget of $15 million, it shows you what exactly what was going on. Ironically, sorry, my ear, I thought it was filmed partly in Canada, but it was mostly in South Dakota, Wyoming, even though they had a lot of Canadian actors that were hired for the movie. Now, the Dances with Wolves only came out in '98, so from book to screen kind of parallels The Godfather in a lot of ways. Now, when I first saw this, obviously seeing Greene on the big screen and such an important Canadian actor, up-and-coming Canadian actor, was a thrill for us. It's like seeing early Donald Sutherland in The Dirty Dozen, seeing Christopher Plummer in some of his early movies, William Shatner as well in some of his early movies before he did Star Trek and TV. There was a sense of pride across Canada. I think that momentum led to the Best Supporting Actor nomination because it was not only a nomination for Greene, it was a nomination in tribute to the great Canadian character actors, supporting actors through the years. And I think it was not only a nomination because of his portrayal of Kicking Bird, because he was just that good in the movie, and His loss will be felt for years from now. He died this week at the age of 73. But ladies and gentlemen, what a legacy. I mean, you see him in like even recent roles like Wind River. You know, he's one of our own. It's like seeing Sutherland, Christopher Plummer, Gordon Pinson, William Shatner, Leslie Nielsen. Somebody put a post on Facebook the other day. I didn't know Leslie Nielsen was Canadian. This is a little joke, by the way. He said, he was on David Letterman one day, and he said, tell me about your family. Well, my brother is a Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, and he got a big laugh. And it was Eric Nielsen, obviously Mulrooney's number 2. So Canadians, I mean, we made that movie. I think Graham Greene there, he was accepted because he represented the best of what I call the new First Nation actors. Adam Beach, actors like even Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer was Aboriginal, but he's going to be greatly missed. So that's my take on Dances with Wolves, the importance to what he called the Indian media culture of the early 1990s and what it did for Graham Greene's career. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And if you like Graham Greene, say in the comments what your favorite part was. I know you were shafted as well for Best Supporting for Wind River, but that's just me. So have a good one, ladies and gentlemen, and may the Creator protect us all.